Hello and welcome back to another Rush Duel Links deck profile. Today we're taking a look at Miss Mutton OTK. This is a deck that has managed to win a couple of tournaments, does have many second place finishes, and just overall has been quite a consistent deck considering what it is. So what exactly is this deck? So this deck aims to turbo out Princess of the Flock Miss Mutton, which is just a 2500 level 7 vanilla, and then we want to kill our opponent in a single turn. How are we going to do that? Well, the key to this strategy is meet and greed. So we can send 2 cards from our hand to the graveyard, choose one face up beast type normal monster on your field. This turn, that monster can make up to 3 attacks on monsters. If you have Princess of the Flock Miss Mutton face up on your field, you could also make all face up effect monsters on your opponent's field lose 500 attack until the end of the turn. So the most important part of this effect is that we get to attack 3 times with our Miss Mutton. And we're like, okay, a 2500 attack monster can attack 3 times. Is that kind of it? Well, Miss Mutton is a level 7 normal monster, which means we can summon it with Secret Order. That means it immediately becomes a 3200 attack monster that can't be destroyed by trap cards. So that's pretty good. We do also have access to the Pierce spell card, which will allow our monster to get piercing. Attacking over 3 defense position monsters means we can a lot of the time just end the duel. But on top of that, we're using the Servant of Dawn skill, which allows us to have a face-up level 6 or higher normal monster with 1500 or higher defense, gain 600 attack, which is really, really good. So effectively, we can boost our Princess of the Flock up to 3800 attack, give it piercing, and have it attack 3 times, which most of the time will be enough to kill through anything. So the rest of the deck is basically all gas to try and get us to this combo, and the main card to get us there is going to be Elemental Circulation. So Elemental Circulation, we can discard any of our hero monsters, draw 3 cards, and then send another card to the graveyard. So the whole deck is basically heroes. We've got 3 Avian, 3 Burstinatrix, 3 Clayman, and 3 Sparkman, along with the 3 Elemental Circulation. This means most of the time this will be live, so we can just keep turboing through our deck to find all the different combo pieces we need. We're playing Pot of Greed as our legend spell, because again, we just all want gas to get where we're going. We are playing the 1 Curse, but we have considered dropping this for Shiny Shady. This is something that Quantum Cubes, the former world champion, as well as the player that has found the most success with this deck, has also said as well, because Curse of the Rising Light doesn't come up too much. Now, Curse did come up today in 1 game, where we didn't really have any plays, but Curse giving us that draw 2 did let us find what we needed to get the play going and OTK our opponent. So Curse, I think, still does have a place, but not super consistent. And then we're just playing the 1 of Shady, because Shady is just a really good trap. And even if we're only playing 1, this still does come up enough that it is worth playing. But how does this deck perform? This deck is actually very consistent. This deck does have a couple of major weaknesses, but also does have a couple of major buffs, but also does have a couple of major strengths. The most obvious of which is that because the deck is all normal monsters, Shiny Shady literally cannot be used to flip our monsters face down. The best our opponent can do with Shiny Shady is flip their own monsters face down to try and preserve their life points, but again, if we have Pierce, that still doesn't matter. So the whole point and the whole reason why this deck is strong right now is that everyone is typically playing multiple copies of Shady because it's just really, really powerful, and it just doesn't work on Miss Mutton in a very similar way to how the baseball deck ignores it as well by using the Secret Order with Volcano Attack Dragon after wiping the board to OTK our opponents. These decks are very, very similar in that way. But in our testing, this deck was very, very strong. It was very, very easily able to just OTK, and the only couple of games we did lose were because of some very specific cards, notably Negate Attack and Slime. So Negate Attack and Slime are 2 quite annoying trap cards for this deck. Because of how the deck operates, we can't really play back row hate, at least nothing good or consistent, so we just don't play any at all. Now, the deck doesn't typically care about most back row, because for example, Shady just isn't going to work on us. If our opponent's using Execute You Riding, again, they can't activate it because we're never summoning an effect monster. If they have Compulse, that can be a little bit annoying, but we can just kind of tribute out Miss Mutton again, or use another copy of Secret Order to summon it. If our opponent has Widespread, well, Widespread doesn't affect us because we have the protection effect from Secret Order. This means that the trap card that actually hurts us the most is Negate Attack, because it can just shut down our turn. And the other trap card that will save our opponent again is going to be that Slime, because we're only ever summoning level 7 monsters, and that means level 8 and lowers can't inflict damage. So if your opponent has Slime and Negate Attack, especially back-to-back turns, that basically means we'll use all of our resources to try and OTK, fail, then we'll get hit with a crackback, then we'll use all our resources to try and OTK again, fail, and then we'll get hit with a crackback again and probably die there and then. So unfortunately, those 2 cards are really, really bad for us, but most people shouldn't be on them, right? For the most part, you only really see Slime and Negate Attack in high-level play when you're expecting to see the Miss Mutton deck or when you're expecting to see Baseball. If you're not expecting to see either of those decks, typically people aren't playing them because they aren't super useful into the rest of the field. Especially when you consider that the two best decks at the moment have such easy way to pop back row, being Join Tech, being able to pop all your back row using Join Tech Rex, and Music Princess, which has both Ensemble Fighter to turn off your back row, as well as Full Orchestra to pop it all. So you really want to have reactive trap cards, and that's where things like Trap Hole and Compulse are a lot better. But outside of that obvious weakness, this deck is really, really strong. I think realistically, this is one of the stronger decks right now. At the moment, we have this deck in tier 3, but realistically, I could see it climbing higher depending on matchups. But let's find some replays so I can show what I've been talking about.